Hello, my Teaser King family. How the hell is everybody today? I hope we're all good. Get rid of that. What a video. I was watching Egon from Switzerland, and everything we were talking about yesterday with Bitcoin and gold stock, all of Luke's questions are basically answered by Egon here. So I'm going to wait a little bit for Luke and Bobby to join if they join. If Luke comes back after vampiring us yesterday. We'll start with football. We got a game tonight. We got a college game tonight. I think. No, we don't. College game tomorrow. Today's the 21st. It's Christmas Monday. I can't believe it. I've already went to Germany for the holidays, and I'm back. And then I'm hoping going to Turkey for New Year's. So we will see. Anyway, let's go through the line. So tonight we got a ball game. We got the Rams, 4.5, 3.5, 45.5. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I think Olavi is playing, but I don't know why the total went from 46.5 to 45.5. Or is it just on the, yeah, it's all fours except for here. And the total is 45.5. It's in LA, so I don't think it's a weather thing. Let's go look at, well, let's see if this gives us any injuries. I don't know who would be injured. That would make the line go down. It's not a Ram. I don't get it. I don't see the injury. Let's go to the other injuries. We'll go to 15 different injury sites to see what the hell is going on. LA and New Orleans. All right, the Rams. DB out with a hamstring. Don't care about. Witherspoon, a DB. Everybody Rivers playing. I don't see anybody on the Rams side, so maybe somebody on New Orleans. But why would the line go down? Can there be weather problems in LA? Cam Jordan, probable. Okay. Olave, yes. Okay, that wouldn't make the line go down. That might make the line go down. It would make the total go down. So nothing there. Let's go to our other spot. Starting lineups. We've got no weather as it's in a dome, I believe. So I don't get the points going down. Here it's Rams 445.5. I don't see it. Everybody's playing. Carr, Kamara, Olave, Shaheed for New Orleans. Stafford, Williams looks really good. Cup, Paca, Atwell, everybody is playing. So I am at a loss. Why this is, it must be, it's probably a vampire thing, would be my guess. I don't know. All right, so let's go through the line first. We've got Cincinnati 2.5, 38.5. Yeah, it's 1.5. It's 2.5, something like that. We got Buffalo 12, 12.5, 43.5 to San Diego. Well, let's go start. It's Carr against Stafford tonight, an under team, New Orleans, versus an even team in the Rams. They've been scoring more, a 19 defense for New Orleans, a 22 for the Rams. They put up 31 on Baltimore. So the whole thing, they've been scoring good. New Orleans doesn't score as well, but they're all healthy. It's not like the Rams defense is that good. So there you go. Cincy 2.5, 38.5 to Pitt. Both teams are under Cincy at 22, Pitt at 20. We got Brewer, and I don't think it's Pickett. Who is our quarterback on the Pittsburgh? We've gone to Rudolph. All right, so we've got Browning against Rudolph. Everybody's healthy. Actually, Chase is out. See, it doesn't say Chase is out. It says Browning, Mixon, Higgins, Boyd, and Isolaves against Rudolph, Najee Harris, Dennis Johnson, Pickens, who doesn't want to block. I can't believe this Pickens guy is still on the team, and Robinson. So, Browning against Rudolph, and you get this Pickens guy who doesn't want to play. So, yeah. Josh Allen against Stick. Okay. Minshew and Heineke. Let me just do this, then get back to the line. Love against Young. Now, in the Cleveland-Houston game, we got Flacco and Stroud are both questionable. So they haven't gone to Keenum yet. Interesting. Goff and Mullins, Detroit. Howell against Zach Wilson. He's questionable for the JETSs. Geno Smith is going against Will Levis, and Will Levis is questionable. But Tannehill, I think, is ready. Lawrence against Mayfield, with Lawrence questionable with the concussion. We've got Kyler Murray and Fields, Dak against Tugg, Zappe against Russell Wilson, O'Connell against Mahomes, Danny DeVito against Hurts, and Lamar against Brock Purdy. I kind of like Brock. All right, back to the line. Now that we've got the quarterbacks, few are questioned. So Buffalo, 12.5, 43.5. Allen against Stick. Atlanta, 2.5, 44.5. Minshew against Heineken. I don't know. Is Heineken worth another point? I mean, Indy was favored. I'm liking Indy getting as the dog in this game. Atlanta can't score. Green Bay, 4.5, 37.5. Up from 36. Love against Young. I'm not sure I like over in this game, as Carolina can't score. Green Bay with the 22 defense. Carolina with the 25. So I think Green Bay wins. They have to win. I think they're still in the running. Cleveland, 2.5, 40.5. Down from 42. Flacco, who's questionable, against Stroud, who's questionable. I thought Stroud was out with a concussion. Then you got Keenum, both under teams, both 21 defenses. Seattle, Tennessee. Seattle, 2.5, 41.5. Again, it's Geno Smith will play against Levis is questionable or Tannehill. Seattle must win. Tennessee's out. Washington and the Jets. Jets 3, 37.5. Is their defense still stone cold? Washington, terrible Z team, 30 defense. This will be an interesting game here. Detroit 3 and 47 to Minnesota. Goff, Mullins. Tampa 2.5, 41.5. And this is Mayfield against Lawrence, who's got the concussion, right? He's got a past concussion protocol. I don't know who they have as their backup. Somebody shitty. That's why the line, I don't, let's see if it says here in this one about Jacksonville injuries. CJ Beathard is the backup. Kirk is out. Zay Jones is questionable. And Trevor Lawrence did not practice. He's questionable with an ankle. Oh, the ankle's back. And the concussion. I thought the ankle was bullshit because he played last week with running around. Okay. Miami, 1.5, 50.5 to Dallas. Prescott against Tag. Battle the interceptors. They're both A teams. Dallas a little bit better defense, although I don't think Miami's defense is 21. Let's look at Miami's defense. All right. Yeah, okay. They beat the Jets 39. Okay, they lost 28-27 to Tennessee. Let's see, against a good defense. They lost 21. KC got 21 on them. Philly got 31 on them. Carolina got 21 on them. Buffalo got 48 on them. Denver got 20, even though they got killed, and then San Diego got 34. So against good teams, there is no defense. So let's go with the over in the Dallas-Miami as your free play. Miami is an over team. I don't care what their trend says because that's bringing in the Jets and bringing in teams that are shitty. But against Tennessee, they gave up 28. Philly crushed them. And then Miami should be able to score on Dallas a little bit. So we need 44. We should be able to get, let's see, Dallas 30, Miami 24. That's a 54. That's about a right score there. Dallas should put 30 up on them, should be pissed off after losing. Miami should score. Again, we're still waiting on, let's see, Taglio. We're waiting, let's see, on Tyreek Hill. Is he going to play? So hold that thought for a minute. Mozart questionable with an ankle and a knee, and Tyreek Hill questionable with an ankle. But I think they'll play. They need the game, and it's just questionable with ankles. They should be there. And it's only Thursday now. I can't believe Christmas is Monday. I'm like, oh, my God. All right. So the best gifts, give out silver. It's not too expensive. Everybody loves it. And I got some Egon videos that will make you pretty happy, Lucas and Bobby Bo. All right. The Bears, 4.5, 43. The Bears. Where are they? 4.5, 43 to Arizona. Arizona Z team gives up 27. The Bears have been scoring more with Fields and the running. They give up 24, although their defense is a little bit better. I like the over here because I think Murray can get you 14 points running around like a crazy man. And I think the Bears put up a good, 24. And we only need 43, which means we only need 37 in our world. See, we got the gold world and we got the teaser world. I like our worlds. Much happier life we have. So I think it goes over 37. I just can't imagine that. Denver, 6.5, 34.5. Zappy and Wilson. New England is a Z team, gives up 27 a game. I think. I'm pretty sure it's 27. Oh, no, it's 21. All right, it is 21. So they're a Z team that because they only score 13. They just don't score. I think Denver got the shit kicked out of them last week. I think they're pissed. I think this is where Sean Payton comes in. They're still in the thick of the playoffs. They're at home playing a weak New England team, Wilson and Zappy. Okay. Oakland, KC. KC 10-40.5. Oakland, an under team with O'Connell. KC's kind of a B team. Strong defense, an 18 defense. Oakland with the 20 defense. I don't know that you can take KC -4. I just think this will be a low-scoring game. It's just they don't have the offense. I think they play defense. I mean, look at that last week. They beat New England 27-17. I think you're looking at a lower score than that. But again, they'll win by a touchdown or something, or 10 maybe. But I think it will be low scoring. Philly and the Giants. Philly is 11.5 and 43. Let me see something. Yeah, Philly 11.5, 43. I got a really good feeling on Philly here. I think Philly. I think they kill them. They've lost 3 in a row. They're at home against the Giants and Danny DeVito. He got sacked a lot, didn't do anything against New Orleans. I think Philly's just going to rip them, even with Matt Patricia as their coordinator. I just don't think the Giants can score that much, and I think Philly's going to put up a 50. This is really what you look for when a team is like we had the Niners after 2 losses in a row, and because the idiot kicker missed a field goal in Cleveland, and then they lose to Minnesota somehow, and then they're at home against Cincinnati, but I don't like them because it's Joe Burrow. And they lose to Joe Burrow. And then the next week they play Jacksonville, and that was a lock. And we're taking the Niners 3 in a row. That's it. And they killed them. And I think this is the same theory. I think Philly, all right, Buffalo and, and San Francisco. Oh, no, they lost to Frisco, Dallas, and then Seattle somehow last week. Bad coaching at the end, bad defensive coaching. But now they're at home, and they're playing a Z team, the New York fucking Giants, not my Jets, Jets. And you got DeVito, who, all right, he looked good against Green Bay, then he came down to earth and looked like shit against New Orleans. And let's see, New Orleans has a 19 defense. And Philly's got a 25, so I expect DeVito to score a touchdown maybe. But I think Philly just kills them because, okay, we've lost 3 in a row. That's it. We're at home, and we're playing a Z team, and they'll just pound them. I think you'll see 50 points from the Eagles. And wouldn't be surprised. So I just think the Eagles kill them here. This is a game that they have to win. They're tied with Dallas. This is on Christmas, so they'll know if Dallas beat Miami. If Dallas beat Miami, this is even a stronger bet. But if Miami wins, it's still they need it to be in the lead in their division. So either way, they need to win. If Dallas wins or loses, Dallas wins, they really need to win. So I definitely like Philly here by at least 25 points. I mean, they'll have to kill them. They can't lose, so they'll just come out. It'll be like a college football game where they need to win to make the playoff. That's what basically this game is. So look for Philly huge. And the last game, the Niners, 5.5, 46.5. We got 8-team against 8-team, 16 defense against 17 defense. Lamar against Brock P. Big edge for the Niners. Huge teaser trend at home. They're like 15-1 is a home favorite. They killed Dallas at home. It's tough. You got to go East Coast to West Coast for Baltimore, and that's going to be hard. It's Christmas Day, so are they doing this Christmas Eve, which will make it hard? Lamar's going to struggle against this defense. I guarantee it. Purdy has no difficulties against this defense. Purdy's, handled Dallas, handled KC, had trouble against, didn't have trouble against Cincinnati, but Joe Burrow was there. Lamar is no Joe Burrow. Stood in the pocket and picked him apart. Lamar can't do that. That's his problem. I do think it will also be high scoring because I think, let's put a score in, 31-24 for the Niners. I think they can score on Baltimore. I think Baltimore gets a little bit of points, but not that many. So I think the Niners win. They want to lock up the 1 seed, and I think it's high. So that's the bottom line. Dallas, Miami, over 50 down to 44 in our world is the free play. I do have a lock going, which is not Dallas over. Sometimes I've been giving my lock as the free play, but again, unless you buy from me, you don't know it. You're not sure what to do with it. That's why you have to buy from me, because you got to know what to do. It's how many units do I play? Is it a lock? I got to bet a lot on it. I got to put them in 2 or 3 teasers. So I give you hints, but you don't know. You don't know how to bet and how many units to bet. That's where buying the picks come through. All right, let's see what else. So teaser trends. Buffalo is a strong teaser trend here. Tennessee, the JETSs, Tampa Bay, Chicago, Denver, Oakland, and Frisco are teaser trend plays from this year and last year. Now, I know, like Carolina, well, they didn't have it in Indy and KC, Indy and Houston. You can because of the quarterbacks, but that's okay. Like Tennessee, Seattle, well, you got Will Levis, so it's a little bit difficult, but Tannehill could play. Seattle, you can use. And Tampa Bay, you can use with Mayfield, and Jacksonville with Lawrence, and Chicago with Fields. Dallas and Miami, you can use. And Denver, no. Oakland's hard because of O'Connell, but you can use KC's with Mahomes. You can use Philly with Hurts, and you can use Baltimore and Frisco with Lamar and Purdy. The coaches are the same, and it's a huge Frisco trend. Tonight, a little bit on the Rams this year. I mean, Stafford didn't play last year, so you got to throw all that out. This year they've been good. They've been hot the last few weeks, even though they lost to Baltimore. But that's what I'm using to get the over in the Frisco-Baltimore game, is that the Rams lost 37-31 in overtime on a punt return. So as good as the Ram defense is, Baltimore is able to move, and as good as as good as Baltimore's defense, the Rams could move on them. That's why I think this will be a high-scoring game Christmas night. Injuries we're looking at, it's let's see. Will Levis at Tennessee is questionable. Smith is going to play for Seattle. We got Zach Wilson questionable for the JETSs. Flacco and Stroud are both questionable in the Cleveland-Houston game. I would go under if they both don't play. Although Keenum's okay. If Flacco doesn't play and Stroud doesn't play, but Keenum plays, then I like Houston as the dog and the under in the game. Trevor Lawrence questionable with concussion, and now his ankle is bothering him. Didn't look like it bothered him when he played the other day. Games in Tampa, they're half hour apart. And that's it for the injured quarterbacks. Tonight, everybody's going. Olave, Kamara, all the boys are playing tonight. The Bowls, we've got tomorrow, we've got South Florida, Syracuse. Let's take a venture into the Bowls about who's playing and not. So let's go back to let's see about this college roster news. Okay, this is a good one. Transfer portal, bowl opt-outs, and injury tracker. All right. See, but even like if you're in the transfer portal, are you playing or not? This is unknown. Let's go to so let's go. We've got, what are we at? We're at South Florida, Syracuse game. See, even here, it didn't have for UTSA, it doesn't show Frank Harris not playing. Let me refresh this. Yeah, it doesn't say Frank Harris wasn't playing because it happened like just before the game. All right. So tomorrow, or this is tonight. Is this tonight? I guess it is. Why do I have the 22nd written? So South Florida, Syracuse. I thought it was tonight, but I'll double check it. UCF. Bohannon didn't play at all this year. He's in the transfer portal. Came from, I believe, Baylor. Safety Will Jones started late in the year. He's in the transfer portal. And outside linebacker is in the portal. Injuries, left guard. Didn't play the final few games, while starting right guard left the regular season finale with an injury. Doesn't really tell you much. Big deal. Syracuse head coach fired. A&M's Elijah Robinson hired as defensive coordinator but won't join the team. Transfer portal, safety, a corner, nothing much. Injuries. Their starting quarterback had surgery when not playing the game, which we know. Neither will their backup. So now we've got Syracuse with the third string quarterback. And I knew that. Redshirt freshman quarterback Brandon Davis is listed as a starter, but the Orange could go with Wildcat and tight end. And so they're going to go with a tight end as their quarterback. How did I miss that? And then tomorrow, Georgia Tech is tomorrow. I got my dates fucked up. I apologize. Let me go back in and get I think I was still on German time. And the way it works, everything's kind of funny. It's like the time 6 hours ahead. So it made the 21st to 22nd. So Syracuse 3.5, 55.5, which is really odd if they're going with their third string quarterback. And South Florida isn't. 3.5, 55.5. And then we've got tomorrow is Georgia Tech, UCF. UCF 4.5, 66.5. And Troy 7.5. Troy is the 23rd. Okay. So we've got Syracuse, South Florida tonight. We've got Georgia Tech, UCF tomorrow, and then we got the Saturday action. Troy and Duke are the 23rd, and Arkansas State. Where the hell is that? Okay. Arkansas State is the 23rd. Air Force James Madison is the 23rd. Georgia State, Utah State is the 23rd. So I did that one right. South Alabama Eastern is the 23rd. Utah Northwestern is the 23rd. Coastal Carolina San Jose State's the 23rd. They look like they're the next day. So tonight, Syracuse, South Florida. Tomorrow, Georgia Tech, UCF, which makes sense. I couldn't believe there wasn't a game tonight. Those have been bet. State. All right. So we will study those later. Okay. So let's look at, well, let's check, make sure Alabama's still getting a 1.5. Ohio State's now favored by 1.5. I wonder if Missouri's starting to sit out players. Georgia 14.5, 44 stayed, and LSU's back up to 9.5. Interesting. Oregon's still at 17.5. Michigan's still 1.5, and Texas still 4.5. So what's going on with LSU? They are now back up to 9.5. So let's go back to where we were, college football roster, and we will review. Georgia Tech, an edge, transfer portal, an edge, a cornerback, a defensive tackle. Now, they don't have much defense anyway, another edge. So I'm like, cool. I like the game. I think it'll be high scoring, and there's no reason it won't be. If 4 Georgia Tech guys who weren't very good anyway are sitting out, UCF, cornerbacks, center, a wide receiver, a running back, and a bunch of nobodies are transferring. Injuries to UCF, the safety, and a defensive back. So they got a lot of injuries to the defense, but I don't care. We're going over. So Georgia Tech, UCF over is 66, and no reason to change. And then UCF is favored by 4.5. I don't know. I kind of think Georgia Tech can play with them. Troy and Duke, coaching change. Head coach John Summerall has agreed to take the opening job at Tulane. So the Troy coach is going to Tulane, which I think is a bad move. If you're really good at Troy, why are you leaving? Defensive coordinator will serve as interim coach. Okay, that's fine. Transfer portal, a linebacker, a cornerback, and an offensive guard. The linebacker is a big deal. Troy had a pretty good defense. Duke, their coach went to A&M, Mike Elko. Interesting. Transfer portal, Riley Leonard, who had a broken leg anyway, isn't going to play. So he says, I'd expect the quarterback to be Grayson Loftus, who played in 7 games. Okay. They're starting running backs transferring, their cornerback, their edge, their defensive line, their linebacker, and the defensive back. Keep in mind, they had a very strong defense, and now most of them aren't playing. You're losing 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5 starters on defense out of your 20 defense aren't going to be there. I like the game under. Now I don't know if I like the game under. And then it becomes how strong are their backups? On defense, the backups play a lot. So it's not like you lose the quarterback, the backup sucks. The backup linebacker is just as good because he's playing a lot. So I don't know that it's as big a deal unless it's Lawrence Taylor or somebody that goes. Injuries, this is the Duke injury, is the center didn't play, and the safety got hurt late in the season. So it's another defensive player. Opt-outs, wide receiver, and a left tackle. Duke starting DL Dwayne Carter also earned a Senior Bowl invite and couldn't. So you're going to sit out for the Senior Bowl? This is getting ridiculous. So anyway, Duke's got a ton out. Troy, we'll go through the line again, was 7.5, 44.5. Both have new coaches. I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, not a problem. All right, this is Saturday. Then we get Arkansas State against Northern Illinois. Transfer portal, a linebacker, a DL, and a DL. Injuries, the center, big deal. But he will return for the bowl. And a running back also missed the regular season finale. Northern Illinois, they actually have guys that can transfer. It's amazing. The center, the safety, the wide receiver, and the edge. Okay. Wide receiver, the Huskies' best wide receiver and returner has withdrawn from the transfer portal. So he's playing. The Huskies would have been super thin at wide receiver without Rudolph. After losing for the year, 2 other starting wide receivers suffered injuries late in the season. So Northern Illinois is banged up. Arkansas State, interesting. Terrible defense. We'll go through all that. James Madison in my Air Force. James Madison, coach, will not coach after taking the head coaching job at Indiana. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and quarterbacks coach are among the coaches leaving for Indiana. So you're not even getting the same James Madison team. James Madison is still laying 1 and 41 without their coach. Amazing. Offensive line coach will serve as the acting head coach, first ever bowl game. With only 4 coaches now leaving for Indiana, James Madison hired 5 temporary coaches to get through the bowl game. What do they go to Robert Half and account temps and go, okay, we need, can you find me some offensive and defensive coordinators, please? What do you mean you hired 5 temporary coaches? What the hell is that? Transfer portal, starting quarterback McLeod is still set to play. Okay, this is really confusing. The quarterback is in the transfer pool, but he's going to play. What the fuck are you doing to me here? McLeod's very good. So he's in. So you can be in the transfer portal and play, apparently. Okay. Starting linebacker, I don't know. What does this mean? So I'm confused now. If you're in the transfer portal, you can still play. All right, I guess. Now the linebacker is in it, second best defender, but is he playing or not? Or is it still set to play? Otherwise, they're gone. Not sure. And are they all going to Indiana? Probably, right? Linebacker transferring DL. Now they had a very strong defense. Reports say all JM players in the portal will play, but stay tuned for more updates. Okay. So the whole team's in the transfer portal, probably going to Indiana with the coach, but they are still playing. Okay. All right. So now it's Really confused. I think because it's their first bowl, they want to win it. It would be my guess. Injuries, defensive end, NFL's prospect missed the final 3 games and won't play in the bowl. Starting left tackle was lost for the season. Air Force, transfer portal, starting running back, and DE. That's it. Yeah, hard to think the Air Force guys would transfer. They're in the military. They can't transfer unless they go to Army or Navy, but where are these guys going? Injuries. Head coach Troy Calhoun said quarterback Zach Larrier could return for the bowl game. Oh, thanks. He could. All these guys sitting out the bowl games, this guy's injured, and he could come. He said the same for wide receivers, that they could return, starter, missed the final 4 games. So I guess what you take out of this is James Madison, other players are playing, but the coach is gone. In Air Force, the quarterback could play, but without him. I think James Madison's going for the win here because they haven't won and they're all leaving, but the coach is gone. So it does make a difference. I don't know. I think you got to take James Madison in the 5 if everybody's playing who's on the transfer portal, although you don't have your coach. This is interesting. I think I like Air Force if their quarterback plays. And this game's on the 23rd, so we should find something out in the morning. Now, James Madison is laying 1 and 41. So if we all of a sudden see Air Force is a 1 or 2 point favorite, the Air Force quarterback is playing. If we see it stay at this 141, then he's not playing, and then go accordingly. The Idaho game, Idaho Bowl, we got Georgia State and Utah State. I like a stud starting running back committed to Missouri. All right. So they're giving us a transfer of guys. We have no idea who they are on Georgia State. Utah State, we have no idea either. Injuries. The Aggies will turn to quarterback Levi Williams. This is Utah State. Under center with Cooper Legis and McCray Hillstead still hurt. So we are getting the 3rd string quarterback. And how in the world is this game a 61? Injuries, Devontae. So you're on your 3rd string quarterback. Georgia State's got 10 guys in the transfer portal, which I guess they're not playing. And the over-under is 61. I had the over until now, until I see that the 3rd string quarterback for Utah State's playing and not the starter that I thought would play. 61. Both teams suck defensively, but neither team has an offense now. So I don't know. I can't bet this over like I wanted to. South Alabama, Eastern Michigan. Who would want anybody from South Alabama? Injuries. The quarterback situation remains up in the air with starter Carter Bradley. He's the regular guy dealing with a knee injury. He has been splitting practice time with both freshman and senior. Starting running backs. Webb will not play due to a toe injury. Expect to get the start. Okay, so Eastern starting quarterback Austin Smith. Ike Edwardiga would start if Smith doesn't play. According to the other site, Ndigwa is going to be the quarterback. He's got 51 stamps, and he's more of a runner who came in for certain run packages. I can tell you, but it wouldn't mean anything to anybody, these other players in the transfer portal. So we don't know who the quarterback is. According to the other site that has the players, it says Uga Buga is going to be the starting quarterback, not Austin Smith, who is transferring. So I don't know. Good luck on these games when they say the quarterback's transferring, but he's going to play, like James Madison. Well, wait a minute. Is he playing or not? On the other site, it shows that he's not, and now here he's saying he might. Utah and Vegas, transfer portal, Nate Johnson, Bryson Barnes. Bryson Barnes will play in the bowl, but is not starting in the bowl. The starter for Utah is a new quarterback that I never heard of. Couple of receivers, couple of cornerbacks are transferring. Injuries. Utah lost 2 important defensive starters earlier in the year, and the stud D lineman suffered a season-ending week injury. Opt-outs, wide receiver, and 2 safeties. So you're not getting the Utah defense that we love. I like the game under, but I don't think I like it under anymore. Northwestern transfer, the guard and the DL, injuries, starting safety, missed the final 2 games with leg injury. So nobody much transfers from Northwestern. They're just not good enough to transfer. And the great point, you go to Northwestern, you're going for the education, you need a higher GPA, and you're probably not leaving it because you want to get a Northwestern education, sort of like Michigan or Stanford. You don't want to go from Northwestern to Nebraska and get a degree from Nebraska. You want your degree from Northwestern if you can get it. That means a lot more getting the degree from Northwestern. So I'm surprised these 2 guys, the left guard, the DL, 16 snaps. Where the hell is he going? If you're trying to be an NFL player, you're not going to go to Northwestern. So I don't get that. Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina against San Jose State. Grayson McCall committed to NC State. Jared Guest, 3rd-string quarterback, will start. Okay. Then you got a wide receiver, a running back, a linebacker. Okay, there's a chance some still play in the bowl. What does that mean? How do we bet on that, right? San Jose State. Left tackle is transferring, tight end, wide receiver, and a safety. Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings is their starting safety. So the confusing part is they're transferring. Are they playing? Some of them are playing. Some of them are transferring and not playing. I think say there's a chance they'll play in the bowl. Otherwise, if there's not, then they're not playing. I guess that's how you have to read that. All right. So that's San Jose State. All right. That's through the 23rd. So let's stop there. I'm totally confused on some of these. James Madison, Air Force. Utah State now is a 3rd-string quarterback in. Utah is a quarterback I never heard of. San Jose State. Okay. All right. So, well, let's quickly go to the meat. Let's go to Alabama. Nobody's if they are, they're not missing the game. Let's go down to Arizona OU, a safety, not much. Arizona's pretty staying. Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel, so Jackson Arnold likely starts. So here it doesn't say they're gonna play the Oklahoma guys. So 2 running backs that played a lot are both transferring. 2 offensive guards. What the fuck do you have the regular season for? Opt out an offensive tackle and a safety. Star linebacker Danny Stutzman and starting safety Billy Bowman announced they will return for the 24 season. So, okay, and that helps me a lot. Basically, Clemson, I don't see where their NFL running back, Ray Davis, Kentucky's running back, will still play in the bowl, so who cares that he's in that? Notre Dame, Oregon State, coaching change. The Oregon State guys now the Michigan State coach. Starting quarterback, Buglia is in the transfer portal, and backup is Ben Gubrosen will start. And then we've got Notre Dame, transfer portal, 4 wide receivers. I think most of them were hurt anyway. Opt out. Sam Hartman's opting out, and Audric Esteen, the running back, is opting out. If Epstein and all opt out for Notre Dame, they'd be down 8 offensive starters. What the fuck is going on in this world of college football? This is pathetic. Why? Okay, so then why are we having the bowls? If nobody's playing in the bowls, then don't have them. Just have a big playoff. Notre Dame, you're in the playoff, and all these teams are. You've got to make the bowls meaningful, and you can't say if they're not in the playoff, nobody cares. I don't know where that's coming from, but there's a problem then that all these guys are opting out. I mean, forget betting on the game, but watching the game. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I got 8 guys out. Well, I don't know. How am I supposed to? How do I root for them when they don't even care? So once the players stop caring, why do I care as the fan, right? So they're making this like a preseason football game. So I don't really understand it. Okay, Liberty Bowl. Cotton Bowl. What's going on here? Missouri. Now, Ohio State's favored. Head coach Eli Drinkwitz expects everyone on the team to be available except for possible injured starter, and that includes linebacker. Ohio State transfer portal. Kyle McCord, Devin Brown should be healthy enough to start. Bunch of guys. Transfer portal, opt out a running back. Potential opt outs, Marvin Harrison. Wide receiver announced they will play in the Cotton Bowl. Trevin Henderson is expected to return next season. I don't know why, without the quarterback, Ohio State just went favorite, but I really like Missouri as the dog in this one. Interesting. Peach Bowl, I'm not going to get into now. Let's go to Orange Bowl, Georgia. The backup quarterback, Brock Vandagriff, is transferring for Georgia. Big loss there. A lot of transfers for Georgia, but not. They're all little wide receiver. Oh no, is a lot like O lineman 29 snaps, one linebacker 247 snaps, but not really big names here. Potential opt-outs to watch. Carson Beck, Brock Bowers. Well, potential, what does that mean? I mean, are they going to opt out or not? So we got to wait around. We got to keep an eye on the line, and the line is 14. So I guess right now we have no idea. Florida State, yeah, okay. Transferring a few guys, opt-outs, potential opt-outs. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Let's go. Wisconsin, LSU, what's going on here? Wisconsin, running back Allen is opting out. Cornerback, transfer portal, injuries. The Badgers could be very, very thin at the skill position. So the 2 running backs are injured. The other running back is opting out, and then 2 wide receivers are transfer portaling it, and another wide receiver is injured. So why did this line jump back to 9.5? Jalen Daniels is out. Potential opt-outs, 2 wide receivers, injuries. So the injured guys are injured, but I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Money going back on LSU without Daniels. Oregon Liberty, Oregon. Dan Lanning said Bo Nix will play in the bowl game. I don't know what to do there. Alabama transfer portal backup quarterback is going to play lacrosse, and a wide receiver hasn't played. Injuries. The running back didn't play in the SEC championship game. Star cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry left the SCA title with Malcolm. I assume he'll be okay. Michigan, no transfers. And just the right guard broke his leg. We saw against Maryland, I think, or Ohio State. I don't know. Sugar Bowl, Texas. Very little in transferring, injuries. Starting running back Jonathan Brooks was lost for the season. He's injured. Didn't say what it was. Star wide receiver Xavier Worthy was seen on crutches and in a boot after the Big 10. So after the Big 12 title game. So Texas is hurting, and they're still favored by 4.5. Doesn't look good for them. Starting cornerback Ryan Watts didn't play in the Big 12 championship. That's 3 starters they're down. Boyd Worth head coach says he feels very confident both Worthy and Watts would be ready for the Sugar Bowl. Worthy's the wide receiver, punt returner, and Watts the cornerback. So Jonathan Brooks, the running back, their stud, is out. That's for sure. Washington, a safety is transferring, and the backup quarterback, and an injury to the safety, and that's it. Okay, we got just a freaking nightmare here. Let's go to the starting lineups. And we will just start with our South Florida Syracuse game. Which is tonight. We got Byron Brown, the normal starter for UCF, South Florida. The starter's playing, and then the Syracuse third stringer looks like he's playing. So huge edge to South Florida. They're an over team with a 35 defense. Syracuse is a 24 defense. A lot of guys are opting out. The third string quarterback's playing, and they're favored by 3. Okay. Weather, no weather info. Why aren't there weather info? Georgia Tech, UCF. King against Plumlee. This is starting quarterbacks, both playing. UCF is 4.5 and 67. The game must be in Florida, I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech played Georgia tough. I mean, I can't believe they're the dog here. Like Georgia Tech, like the over for sure. Then we get, so that's the next 2 days. Then we get to Saturday. And we will go over this again tomorrow more in depth. Arkansas State, Northern Illinois. Rayner against Lombardi is the starting quarterbacks. Arkansas State's 2.5-point favorites. They're the over team, 31 defense. Northern Illinois is kind of a weak team with a 21 defense. Over under 54. This could be an over. Troy and Duke. Gunnar Watson for Troy is their starter. Vidal, the running back, is a good running back. Duke Bellin is the second string quarterback, and he's questionable. Duke is Duke's not the favorite. Troy's the favorite. They got the wrong line here. Troy's a 7-point favorite, 44.5. I like the under until I'm seeing all the players. I don't know what the fuck's going on. A lot of defensive players from Duke, which would make you go under with their strong defense, are opting out or transferring or whatever. So now it looks like maybe a Troy game with the thing, and all the coaches changing. It's insane. Both coaches are gone, the Troy coach and the Duke coach. So the nightmare. James Madison. See here, it's got A. Barnett, not their quarterback, their starter. So if this Barnett is the starter, it is not the normal starter. I can't think of his name for James Madison. That's a huge difference. Air Force Zach Larriere is questionable. He is their starter. James Madison, but I think it's set. All their players want to play. They want to win because it's their first bowl game, and they came from Division II. So, okay. So now I don't have the James Madison quarterback, I don't believe. We'll check it again. It's Saturday at 3:30. Georgia State, Utah State. Granger is Georgia State's quarterback, but he sucks. Legis is out for Utah State, and apparently it's their third string quarterback, which makes this a very ugly game. Georgia State's a W team with a 30 defense, probably more. Utah State's an over team with a 34, except they're not an over team, so it's kind of a, I assume it's a W versus a W because the third string quarterback. How do you make them an over team if it's not an over, if it's not your quarterback? So they've got to lose some points. So this turns, I don't know that it's an over game. I don't know how good the third string quarterback is. Granger, I know he's not very good at Georgia State. Interesting. South Alabama, Eastern Michigan. Bradley's questionable. Ike Udenguia for Eastern, I never heard of. He's never played. South Alabama, pretty good at 22 defense, Eastern at 24. I think if Bradley plays, it's Bradley. If he doesn't, I think you go under with Eastern. Eastern is an under team anyway. Utah Northwestern. Again, Utah does not. It said Barnes was going to play, but it's got Batteri as the starter here. He never heard of. Ben Bryan is the starter for Northwestern, but half the Utah players aren't playing. However, then it gives the backups time, and the backups get a chance, and I'm sure they're pretty good because this coach has a good eye for talent. So this will be an interesting game. Coastal Carolina, San Jose State. Vasco, the third string quarterback for Coastal Carolina, goes against Cordero, who is their starter. So give an edge to San Jose State there. And that's it. Let's go down to Ohio State. And you're hoping that this is getting updated. So when I look at it now, this is new, not something that they put out a week, in the beginning, and now it isn't being updated. Yeah, Oklahoma, Jay Arnold is quarterback. Huge edge to Arizona there. Notre Dame. The whole offense isn't playing. Brady Cook against Steven and Schrader. So Missouri has got their star. How or why Ohio State's favored, I don't understand. Mississippi, Penn State, Eller and Dart are their starting quarterbacks. Auburn against Maryland. Thorne is the starter for Auburn from Michigan State. Maryland, I have no idea who B. Edwards is. Tagliavua Jr. isn't playing. At this point, Beck is playing as Brock Bowers is for Georgia. And we know Florida State's quarterback is gone. Wisconsin, Mordecai against Nussmeier. I don't know why LSU jumped back to 10. Wisconsin's running back's out. Maybe that's why. Oregon, Bo Nix against Salter, both their starters. Iowa, Tennessee, both their starters, Hill and Milton. Alabama, Michigan, well, nobody's sitting out that. And then, so you got the new running back for Texas. Interesting. Well, the problem is getting the real lines and getting the real players playing. Let's go back to the top. All right. So let's go back to tonight. So we got Syracuse 3.5, 55.5. I mean, South Florida is an over team with the 35. Syracuse is an E team. Both their first two quarterbacks are out. You've got the third stringer or the tight end running Wildcat. I mean, seriously. So it's hard to play over when you've got the third string quarterback in. So therefore, maybe it takes South Florida in the 9 but their defense is so bad. Then we get into tomorrow's game, UCF 4.5, 66.5. Okay, that's what it is. All right. And both their starters are playing as of now. It's like you got to check every 5 minutes for what the hell's going on here. I don't see any comments, but I don't see my box. I assume it's working, but I'm not sure. Okay. Troy 7.5, 44.5. The Duke, half of Duke's not playing. Arkansas State 3, 54.5 to Northern Illinois. James Madison 1.5, 40.5 to the Air Force. Half of James Madison isn't playing, but they will play. They're all transferring, but they're going to play. Utah State 2.5, 59.5. And they're doing their third string quarterback against kind of a weak Georgia State offense, but they both have shitty defenses. South Alabama 17.5, 45.5 to Eastern with their new quarterback. Utah 6.5, 40.5 with their third string quarterback against Northwestern. San Jose State is 9.5, 48.5. That went down a lot. That was 54. Wow. Well, Coastal Carolina's got their new quarterback in. Okay. 9.5 and 48.5 to San Jose State. Let's try to make heads or tails out of this. So, Ark State. All right. All right. Let's keep going. Minnesota 4.5, 39.5 to Bowling Green. Texas State 5.5, 59.5. With Rice. Kansas and Vegas. Kansas 12.5 and 60. We got VTech and Tulane. Tulane is new quarterbacking. VTech now 9.5, 44.5. North Carolina, West Virginia. West Virginia is 6.5, 54.5. As North Carolina, Drake May, who for some reason thinks he's a good quarterback, all of a sudden, 6.5, 54.5. West Virginia's quarterback supposedly is playing. Louisville SC. Louisville's defense isn't going to play, and USC's got some strange ass quarterback. Caleb is out. They still suck defensively. That didn't get better. Louisville, you'd think Louisville will win. I mean, how good is this backup quarterback, basically, for USC? Is it Caleb or the system? In Louisville, they lost some defense, so this will be interesting. We got A&M 1.5, 52.5 over Oak State. As far as I know, Oak State's playing. A&M's quarterbacks aren't. They're playing their third string. SMU, Boston College. Now, SMU's quarterback was hurt, so he broke his leg, Stone. So he's not sitting out. They're 10.5 and 50 to Boston College. Boston College is pretty bad. 30 defense. SMU with the backup quarterback. They beat Tulane by 17 in their championship game. BC is an over team, but I don't see them scoring a lot on SMU with a tough defense. But does SMU's defense play? This bullshit opt-out. Miami 1.5, 40.5 with their third string quarterback playing. I don't get it. 1.5, 40.5, and their third string quarterback because their Van Dyke transferred, and then the second guy is there. Van Dyke transferred to Wisconsin. Why would you go to Wisconsin? Jesus. Kansas State 2.5, 47.5. Yes, Will Howard won't play, so their backups out there. And 47. NC State's a 20 defense. Kansas State's a 21. This is like preseason football. It's who is this guy? Who's your third string quarter? Look at USA. Who's their quarterback? John Moses. Like, how are we supposed to bet the guy? And then do you bet against him and then he lights it up because it's a bowl game? I mean, this is insanity here. Arizona 2.5, 62.5 to Oklahoma, who's starting a new quarterback, but Arizona's starting their regular quarterback. Well, he's the backup, but he's so good. The starter can't get his job back. So, I mean, I got a feeling like Oklahoma doesn't care. Like they're just the third stringers are out there. It's like a spring practice game. Clemson 5.5, 47 to Kentucky. Everybody's supposed to be playing. Oregon State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 6.5, 41.5. Hartman's out. Oregon State's on their third string quarterback. He played last year, so he has played a little. You got 8 of the offensive starters on Notre Dame aren't playing. And they're still 7-point favorites. And they still have the 16 defense. And Oregon's at 20. How many of their defensive players are playing? But how good are their backups? Who the fuck? This is insanity. Yeah, we need the whole thing. It's got to be playoffs now. There's got to be 20 playoff games because this is ridiculous. Nobody cares, so they're just transferring. And why the transfer portal would be so early? And I guess you can still play in the transfer portal, like the James Madison quarterback apparently is going to play in the transfer pool. I don't know. But make the transfer portal later. I mean, I don't. Iowa State 9.5, 57.5 over Memphis. Ohio State is now 1.5 and 48.5 with their backup quarterback, Devin Brown. Missouri's a very live dog in this game. Iowa State with a very strong defense, but are they playing and are they trying? And again, I don't know. What do you do with it? I do like Missouri there with Ohio State's quarterback. I think I like Missouri laying the 2 anyway, but now it's 1.5. I get 7.5. I think it'll be a close game. Missouri's a very good team. They probably will play to try to prove something. Penn State, Ole Miss, Penn State 3.5, 48.5. Both quarterbacks supposedly playing as of now. Auburn, Maryland. Auburn's up to 7. They were 2.5. Wow. Auburn laying 7.45. Well, that's because Tua's out. Or Tua Jr., we'll call him. He's sitting out, which makes me probably like the game under. Georgia, Florida State. Travers is hurt. Georgia's supposedly playing. We'll see. 14.5, 44.5 at this point. I don't know. Look for Georgia, but we'll see if they still play. Last line, if all of a sudden Beck and Brock Bowers don't play, I would expect it to go down to 10 or something. Florida State, some of their defense aren't playing. Most of the Georgias are. If you go to Georgia, why would you transfer? Wyoming, 3.5, 44.5 to Toledo. Toledo's quarterback's not playing. Wyoming's is. LSU back to 9.5. Got bet down to 7.5. So somebody's getting fucked because they're only getting they laid 7.5. Well, they probably took it, right? So the Wisconsin people bet on the game, driving the price down to 7.5, and now it's back to 9.5. So they only got 7.5 or 8 instead of the 9.5 and 55.5. The total hasn't moved. We know Daniels is out for LSU. We know Wisconsin's running back's out, although Mordecai's still the quarterback, and they're pretty weak. Maybe it's all the injuries to Wisconsin's running backs and wide receivers. Tennessee 8.5, 36.5 up from 7 against Iowa. Iowa probably won't score. What else is new? Oregon 17.5, 66 to Liberty. Bo Nix is playing. Liberty's quarterback is playing. This should be a very explosive game, except for I'm worried about Oregon's defense. But will Oregon's defense play? Oh, my God. Now, the only game we know for sure is Michigan 1.5, 44.5 to Alabama. That's your free play. Go Alabama, beat Navy. Wrong team's favorite here. Alabama should be a touchdown favorite. And Texas 4.5, 62.5 to Washington. As we said, their best running back on Texas is out. Washington beat Oregon twice. Good enough for me. I think I like Washington, and I think I still like the over in the game. We will see. All right, so we've got one game tonight, South Florida, Syracuse, third-string quarterback for Syracuse. We've got one game tomorrow, Georgia Tech, UCF, both quarterbacks playing. Okay. Enough said. That's just a headache, the Bulls. I mean, you can't analyze the teams, and then there's 7, 8 different. I'm transferring. The coach is gone. I'm the third-string quarterback. Even I can't. I mean, you're killing me. I got to now analyze the third-string quarterback Is he Joe Montana or Joe Blow? It's very difficult. Anyway, I hope you're able to chat. I normally see the box. I don't see it. And I don't see anybody chatting. So I just want to make sure if you want to, you can. All right. So again, tonight, the Rams are 4.5, 45.5. What the hell was that? Going from 4.5 to 3.5, and now they're back to 4.5. Okay. So when the line changes, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Cincinnati, 2.5, 38.5. Buffalo, 12.5, 43.5. Atlanta, 2.5, 44.5. Green Bay, 4.5, 37.5. Okay. Cleveland, 2.5, 40.5. Okay. I'm not expecting changes now, just on tonight's game. Seattle, 3, 41.5. All right. The JETSs are 3, 37.5. Lions, 3, 47. Tampa, 2.5, 41.5. That's all up to Trevor Lawrence. Miami still favored 1.5, 50.5. Don't know about that. That's your free play. Take the over in the Dallas Miami game. The Bears, 4.5, 43. Denver, 7, 34.5. Kansas City, 10 and 40.5. Philly's up to 13 and 43. Wow, they moved pretty quickly there. Let's see, on everybody's is it 13? Yeah, 13 and some 13.5s. Get it in before, keep it at 6.5, 7 if you can. And the Niners, 5.5, 46.5 hasn't changed. Okay. So that's basically football. And I'll tell you, there's not much difference between pro and college. Okay, all of a sudden I got, how do I want to bet Buffalo since San Diego? And all of a sudden it's Allen against Stick. What do I do with Stick? It's the same as in college in the bowls. I got the third string guy for Oregon State playing against the backup for Notre Dame. How the hell do I bet that game? I don't know about the quarterback at all to say he's good or bad. The Oregon State quarterback's not bad. I do know him. I know Allen. I know they have to win. I definitely like Buffalo to win, but it's a big number. Do I go over or under? I don't know Stick enough. Is he going to score on Buffalo or are they going to shut him out? This I don't know. Will Buffalo score 35 points? Kill him. Buffalo gets rolling, and they're going to roll San Diego after what Oakland did. You've lost the coach, so it's not like the new coach is going to motivate them and say, hey, we lost 63-10 to Oakland. Now let's get mad. Why would they get mad? They're like, the coach left. I'm out of here too. So I mean, this is because I like to use trends, because I have come up with that's the best way to analyze. If you see, in other words, if we're playing roulette and it's black, 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 then I'm going to play black. Or back rack, player, 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 I'm going to play player, right? I like to see the trend and then I play it. And in football, if I can't, I don't know what Stick is. I don't know how good he is. He looked like shitting against Oakland. He ain't going to do much against a very strong Buffalo team who must win the game. So I can't bet it over or under. All I can say is San Diego's defense sucks. Buffalo's an 8 team with an 18 defense, and I think they're going to kill them. And I don't think there's anything San Diego can do. And I don't even know if Keenan Allen's playing. He's listed as questionable. Not that that's going to really matter, but I mean, so this is the problem. If it was Herbert, this would be an easy over game, right? If Herbert's playing, we're going over. But again, we don't have it. In the Detroit game, Goff against Mullins, I feel pretty good with Mullins going. He played for the Niners. They'll score points. And so that's a whole different, now because I've seen Mullins play, I know what I'm getting. And half these ball games, not only don't have the quarterback, I don't know if I have like Duke, half the defense isn't playing. I don't know. What do I do with that? How good's LSU's backup quarterback? I don't know. I mean, this is the problems you have. It's just like why I don't bet the exhibition, because you're betting on third stringers and you don't know what you have, so it's hard to bet it. And I think that between college and pro, we got a lot of third stringers playing who aren't very good, and it hurts the product. All right. So that's your football point of view. So tonight we got LA, New Orleans, good game. Let me give you a score. Let me think of a score, feel it. We got a 19 defense and a 22. Let's go the Rams, 27, New Orleans, 20. That is my score. I think the Rams win at home. Stafford, it's a close game. He'll get you the touchdown at the end. Over under 45.5. I think you can go either way. New Orleans, good defense. Rams, Aaron Donald, good offense. I think the total either way, and I think the game either way. I think just play a teaser, you'll be fine. Let's give Buffalo, San Diego, 40-17 Buffalo. Detroit Mini. 27-24 Minnesota. I think it's about right. I think the score's in the 20s. And Detroit apparently doesn't play very well on the road. I mean, they lost at Chicago. They barely won. Well, they beat Green Bay earlier in the season. They struggle with San Diego, struggle with Baltimore, and then beating Atlanta and Tampa Bay doesn't really count. Let's see. Dallas 30, Miami 24, Denver 27-6, Kansas City 20-3, Philadelphia 45-7, and San Francisco 31-24. I'll fill in the rest as I feel them. That's what I think will happen. That's pretty good the last few weeks. But gee, the problem is I don't want to do this now. I want to do this before because I don't want to be biased by the point spreads. Oh, Buffalo's 12.5, so I'll make them win by 30 to cover the point spread. So I don't want to really do too much of that. I do have a lock posted, a pro lock. Obviously, I have a couple of college locks that I've been carrying forward. And I should start posting some good college games. I posted a game tonight, and then I should have a few on Saturday, and then as we go. Again, a lot of it is I'm waiting. I like Oak State. I like Missouri. Is everything going to remain the same? Louisville, okay, we know whatchamacallit. We know Caleb's not playing, but we don't know the other players. So it's a very difficult, you know, the backups. All right. Okay, so Stoic. Let me give you a Stoic today. I go to the grocery store after swim. I need veggies. Kind of doing Christmas shopping, but kind of not. I'm going to do a fast today because I've been eating like crap and I want to fast because I know Christmas is coming up and I'm going to have a pie or something or ice cream, and probably have a roast, and probably have or steaks and salads. So I know I'm going to nibble a little bit. So I'm fasting today, so I'm really hungry. So I go, and I'm being quiet, being stoic. I'm being quiet. But if I see a friend, I'll talk to him. So at swim, I'm kind of quiet, but I see a friend and start talking. And then I go to the grocery store. So I walk in, get my veggies and my food. And then I'm leaving, and I go out to my car to put the groceries away, of course. And I'm about to take the cart and just stick it in front of the car because the little cart things are away from me. And some guys next to me happen to be the same time, and he's taking his cart. And so he says, I'll take your cart and put it with his cart and then walk him over to the corral. I don't say a word. I didn't ask him to do it, but he volunteered. So he takes it over. I had unloaded mine. I'm in the car, and now I'm walking over to my side from the passenger side to go, right? And the guy's like, well, you're welcome. He called me an asshole. I didn't say a word. I didn't react at all. First of all, I didn't ask you to do it. You offered. I don't owe you a thank you because I was going to put the basket in front of my car. You know how these parking lots are. I didn't ask you to do it. You did it. You're looking for a thank you. Why would I thank you? It's not like I was going to walk over there. Nor did I ask you to do it. I didn't say, hey, can you put your cart with mine? So I'm not saying a word. I'm not looking at the guy. Then the guy like whispers under his breath, oh, asshole. And I didn't react. I get in the car and I back up and I see the guy staring at me, but I don't pay attention to him. I don't really look at him. I just kind of catch that he's looking at me, but I don't look back. And I drive off. And I laughed the whole way home. I'm like, now that's stoic. First of all, the guy's obviously got a lot of mental issues if he's taking the cart and then worried about the thank you and then calls me an asshole under his breath, but I heard it. This guy's got a lot of problems, right? Why are you so agitated? I didn't ask you to do it. You did it on your own. So therefore, what the fuck? So if you're writing comments, I can't see them. So I don't know if anybody's here, but when Luke's there, Luke and Bobby, put a comment in because I got some stuff for you guys. So that's what stoic is. You don't let the guy bother you. You just kind of, I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad it was like, I would have taken care of the cart you offered. So I don't see the thank you. But then to call me an asshole, you don't want to waste your time talking to the guy anyway. When people do that, they have problems. He's upset at himself, not at me. Why would he be upset at me? I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't provoke. There's no reason for him to do that. But that's stoic, right? You're just Marcus Aurelius. You're in your own world. You're in the zone, and you're just, I don't know who you are. I don't want to have a conversation with you. And you vampire me by, taking my energy away. So I just kind of left it alone. And he's getting upset at me. Why? Why are you getting upset? You took my cart. You did a good deed. It's sort of like I was talking to a lifeguard about Jenna. I said, I got her perfume for Christmas. She didn't get me anything because she doesn't have any money. But I'm not yelling at Jenna, where's my Christmas gift, or upset. It's a little bit different though, because we're together and I got her a Christmas gift, but it's the idea that I don't know who you are. You're taking my car and you're getting upset. I didn't thank you. I just don't get it. But Stoic is about just avoiding these type of people. This guy's got problems, right? So I just avoided him. Anyway, so that's a lot of Stoic, where you're just keeping your composure. You keep your mentally. I didn't let the guy get to me. I didn't let him, upset me. He called me an asshole. I could have said something back. I got the upper hand because he's waiting for a response that he's not getting. So I'm ignoring him, which is even burning him even more. But why? I didn't provoke anything. You took my cart. You didn't ask. You just took it, and you're trying to provoke me. I'm not going to let you. So I think the silence got him even worse. So if you ever want to really get to somebody, or I didn't even try to, but I didn't let him get to me. I just ignored it and drove home, and I'm in a good mood, and here's football. So that was my Stoic experience of the day. The other one's going to be when the lifeguard, who was a mechanic, and I asked him to help me with my brakes, never called. Well, I took it. My Russian mechanic took care of it. $450 later, I got new brakes. And when the lifeguard calls, I'm going to say, not interested. I already got it. You were too late. And that's the problem with kids now. They don't. He could have made money, could have made a couple $100 doing my brakes, but chose not to. So when I ask you, do you own silver? And you say, I don't have any money. Well, that's your own fault. You could have made money, but you didn't want to. You're too late to the game. All right. Now, Egon came out with this new one today. It's his normal monthly one he does with the bald guy from Germany. And outstanding. He hammers half the stuff we talk about. So let's go through a little bit of Egon. Very informative. He'll talk about Bitcoin. He talks about the gold stocks that we were talking about yesterday, all with Luke. Luke, if you're not here, you'll listen.
Thinks about privatization of currency. Is currency not too important to leave it to the government to mess around with it? I would agree with that, but do we have another choice?
No, we don't, and it's going to get worse, Jan. I mean, sadly, there was a time when there were private currencies issued, and each bank could issue their own currency, etc. Back in history, but those days are gone. Governments are in total control. By being in total control, they are consistently destroying the money. As we know, there's every single currency has gone to zero, and the only money that's ever survived in history is gold. So, therefore, governments are there to destroy the currency. Now, and this is why we're also, of course, advising investors to hold gold, because gold is the only currency that has survived. So therefore, forget about governments. Don't hold your money in fiat paper money. Hold it in gold and a bit of silver instead. And that will avoid the control of governments. And that's so wonderful. So that's a simple solution. We don't need governments involved or interfering with our money.
Okay, so he's advising his clients. But if you go to a stockbroker or financial planner or retirement, none of them put you in gold in America, right? So keep that, understand that. You're not getting buy gold by anybody in the U.S. You're going to buy the stock, buy bonds, whatever. So he explains that, which is what I say. And you don't want the government involved because all they do is ruin it. I don't even know if it's control or they're just idiots. I think they're more idiots than anything else. It's unfortunate. But That's the first thing. So in other words, so that's why I tell you to buy gold, because the governments print the money to zero. They're all corrupt. Power corrupts. Oh, I got the printing press. I'm going to print a bunch of dollars. And this is why we don't want digital. God knows what will happen if it's digitally and they don't have to print it. Then they're really going to inflate it. So the last thing you want is digital currency. All right.
That's why we should hold precious metals instead.
Absolutely. Next one. For some time now, I have been investing in platinum and palladium and no longer just gold and silver in order to achieve more diversification. What do you think of this?
For us, they're good metals too. Of course, they are industrial metals, so much more than gold and silver, although silver is also industrial. We think that gold is the king of wealth preservation. So that's the number one. That's what you should hold. Silver, if you want more volatility and more excitement, silver fills that role in our view. Silver is also, of course, industrial and is used for a lot of various industrial products like solar panels, etc. I think that you are actually well served with just gold and silver. Gold for the stability and the most important precious metal, silver for faster appreciation. And therefore, the other markets are so small and the margins, the spreads.
Well, here's the big thing. So you're taught to diversify your portfolio. And the real reason is because nobody knows. So they say, well, buy, these 10 different stock classes, buy the cars, buy Coca-Cola, buy Disney, buy Microsoft, because when they go down, some of them will go up. It's just an idiot way. It's like saying bet every game in football, and some you'll win and some you'll lose. I mean, no, you've got to analyze it. But in this case, you don't need diversification because there's no other place to go but gold and silver. The platinum and the palladium and everything, not only are they just industrial metals, they're not money. Right? Gold and silver are money. But we're going to be in the middle of a depression again because when they raise the prices, the sales drop, right? If I make my Canadian club, if this is $50, I raise it to $100, I'm going to sell less because people have less money and can't afford the $100. So when I do that, the palladium and the platinum are going to be used less, and they're only industrial metals. So because of the recession and the economy going down, the demand for those metals won't be as strong. So that's the other thing. So gold and silver are it. I'm 99% in gold and silver, not anything else, because they're the best things to be in. All right.
Great demand for electrification. Could they even fall in price if the global economy collapses? What impact would this have on the silver price?
Yes, so of course industrial metals can fall if we have a real downturn, and they will fall.
Which we will.
Definitely. Especially if we get a serious downturn. Silver is also, as we said, partly an industrial metal today. But I think, Jan, as the precious metals start rising and as the world economy is really starting to suffer and the world financial system coming under pressure and the banks coming under pressure and gold goes up, I think silver will take the role of a real precious metal rather than just an industrial metal, and therefore silver will move as a precious metal, not as an industrial metal. So therefore, if gold doubles, then I think silver will go up twice as fast, for example. So that therefore. I wouldn't worry too much about when from the point of view of industrial demand. Silver is really for gold, for everybody's gold, because you get an ounce of silver for $25 basically. So that's, and I think a lot of smaller investors will buy into silver for wealth preservation.
And Egon, recently I researched some relationships. We had topics recently about the interest expenses of the US government that is approaching 1 trillion, and I accounted for the gold and silver production, the value of this of 2022, and that was 250 billion or so. That means that only the value of this of 2022, and that was 250 billion or so. That means that only the interest payments for the US is 4 times as big as the total gold and silver production of a whole year. And not only the US is making debt. So to keep this in mind, what overall market should collapse at some point. Do you think that gold mines will be able to withstand this? Ultimately, mines are just shares that will fall with the market for the time being. We saw this in the past already. If there is a real big washout at the general stock market, usually precious metal stocks are also affected.
This is for you, Luke.
A careful investor, you should have your money or your big chunk of money that is reserved for the precious metals in physical metal. Nevertheless, many people gamble with some mining stocks. And here the next question: if the overall market should collapse at some point, do you think that gold mines will be able to withstand this? Ultimately, mines are just shares that will fall with the market for the time being. We saw this in the past already. If there is a real big washout at the general stock market, usually precious metal stocks are also affected, but they recover much faster, at least. That's the pattern of the past. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. This was what happened in 2008, for example. When the market crashed, silver and gold came down, and the shares came down a lot more, and it took a long time for them to recover. But if you have a major crash, like 30% crash or so, which is not unlikely that happens one day in the not long-term future, remember then people lose money on stocks. They often need liquidity, and not that a lot of people hold gold or silver, but gold and silver, of course, is the most liquid asset you have. You can sell within a second. So therefore, we saw that in 2008. People have made good money in gold and silver. On the margin, people sold. But, as you say, they will recover. Now we're getting into the real bull market of gold and silver, in my view. Or, more correctly put, the real bear market in currencies. That's what we're talking about. And that will continue. And therefore, whatever correction there is only going to be short term. And both the precious metals in themselves and the precious metals mining stocks are starting now another major leg up, in my view.
And if you look at the numbers, many are so undervalued in relationship to the Dow Jones and to the metals itself. The mining shares are still very cheap. Next question: possible alternatives to gold and silver. I cannot invest 90% in them. Can you? Of course you can, but if you should is a different question. After you have made good provisions in precious metals, diversified deposits and metals, made personal provisions and crisis precautions, invested your money in future education of yourself and your relatives, etc., in what else can you invest?
Yes, and it's a very difficult one. And of course you could say that it's safer to diversify into a bit of stocks and bonds and other assets. I don't believe in the next phase that it will be. I think that it'd be very dangerous to be invested in or stay in what I call the bubble assets, which is stocks and bonds and property. So this is the time now when precious metals and some commodity stocks will do extremely well. And in my view, if you want to diversify a little bit, you buy precious metals shares, of course. But for example, uranium is going to be a massive growth market. It's the only alternative alternative energy we have to oil today. So therefore, there are nuclear power plants being built around the world. China, a massive program, for example, and therefore there will be very high demand for uranium. And I think same with oil. Oil will also be very strong in coming years. Now, you could say that if industrial demand goes down, oil might also come down. But oil is also a very political commodity. With the problems we see in the world, Middle East, etc., Strait of Hormuz being closed, the potential of that, and there will be could be shortages of oil, political shortages if you want, and therefore I think so if you want an alternative, oil is interesting. If you want a more vicious alternative, you can have defense stocks, because the wars will continue, sadly, and could easily escalate. So if you want, I'm not keen on stock markets in general, but defense stocks have done very well and are probably going to continue to do well. So those are some alternative. Obviously, if you feel, property is not a good investment in my view now, but to buy a house where you feel safe yourself, where you don't have a high debt, that's definitely always recommendable, because for your own personal safety and comfort. But otherwise, generally, most asset markets are going to decline dramatically, because we will see a correction of the bubbles we've had in all of these over the last few years.
Different question, Egon, and I think we answered that already, but it came back. Gold in the USA. The USA probably no longer has all of its gold in Knox, what they claim to have on paper. What do you think about Germany, Egon? At least we brought more than 50% back from the USA, and it took many years, as Carl Ludwig Thiele in Munich said. So I think we can be sure to have at least 50%. The rest, like the USA, who knows?
No, I totally agree with that. Last proper physical audit of the US gold was during Eisenhower's time in the mid-50s, 1950s. So nobody knows what they have, and it's very impossible. You see, central banks, if they have lent their gold to a bullion bank and leased it in order to earn a bit of return, and then the bullion bank sells this gold to an investor in China or in India, which is where the major buying is taking place of the precious metals. So then all of a sudden, the central bank gold that it owns has gone to a bullion bank, and the bullion bank sells it on, as I said, the physical. Of course, they give an IOU, a debt shine to the central bank, but they'll be worth nothing, because they can't ever deliver that gold against that debt, because the gold has already gone to China or India. They're never going to give it back. And the central bank, as the Fed, for example, will still count that as their gold, although it's lent it out. So that's why I don't think they have the 8,000 at all. But Germany was clever enough to take back 50%, as you said. But what about the other 50%? We don't know. That's still abroad. So you shouldn't be certain. I think that central banks in general have much less gold than they state in their physical position that they can actually sell now, this minute, because it's probably lent out or leased out, and therefore not available to them when the crisis comes.
Silver, the next topic, we touched it already, Egon. Here somebody writes, in about 13 years, no more silver will be mined. All mines worldwide will have been developed and mined out. So they say, I doubt this, by the way. Then we will have to fall back on recycled silver, which will not be enough in the coming years due to rapid increases of electric cars and solar energy. Where could the silver price be then? And would be a silver manipulation still possible? And adding to this, is it realistic to have a 3-digit silver price within the next 5 to 10 years? Let me add something before you answer, Egon. Always new deposits are found. So what the current status is, how many silver is there and can be mined for X, Y, Z years, there are still new discoveries made. So that is the status of today.
Yeah, no, because silver, as with gold, we haven't made any major discoveries that we, the last ones was, gold, I know it was in the 90s. And silver, I don't have exactly in my mind now, but I think it's the same there. That it is harder to find the metals now. So silver has had shortages for years, which is being manipulated by borrowing, etc. And in the end, yes, there will be, especially if central banks start buying gold instead of holding worthless dollars, which they will become eventually. There will be a lot of demand for metals, and of course, both silver and gold. But central banks will buy gold, but the public will buy silver, and I don't think that people will not accept paper assets anymore. When this happens and they see the shortages, they will ask for delivery, and that will lead to a major revaluation of gold and silver. So therefore, the person asking these questions is absolutely right. I think at some point we will see a squeeze in both gold and silver markets. Now, what will that lead? What silver price will that lead to? I've learned one thing: it's no use forecasting price in the currency in euros or in dollars or whatever, because you've got to then know what's the dollar worth at the time or what's the euro worth at the time. It might be worth nothing. So to actually forecast gold and silver prices in fiat money serves no purpose. But I could just take as an example, when we started with gold, I said already then that I expect gold, I don't make forecasts anymore because of the paper currencies being unpredictable in value. But I said that gold in today's terms, and this was 15 years ago, will probably be $10,000 at least. And if the gold-silver ratio went back to the average historical ratio of 15, today, of course, it's 80. But if it goes down to 15 or even anywhere near that, 10,000 gold and 15 ratio, that makes 666 for silver, $666 for silver. Okay, that's playing with numbers, but it's not impossible to see.
See, that's what I keep saying. You're pricing gold and silver in dollars until eventually there won't be dollars to price it in. Gold gets priced in gold. So what he's saying is the same thing. What he doesn't get is the derivative prices when they just print derivatives to keep the price down. They're inflating it, but you can't inflate physical gold. So he doesn't get that it's the derivatives game of COMEX that are keeping the price down. Not really that, but the dollar is collapsing. All right, he does one on Bitcoin here that I want to do. Let's see. Okay, for you, Luke, and you Bitcoin people.
To protect the freedom that we still have, and to this also belongs cash money, of course, to protect this.
Yeah.
Totally different question, Egon. We have it from time to time, Bitcoin. If you look at the chart, okay, it had a very nice run. It went from 20 and something to over 40,000 euros. What do you think about it? It's limited and decentralized. I think for speculation, perfect, but wealth preservation?
Well, the people who went into Bitcoin early, and there were a lot of people who did. They made fortunes. The people who went in late, many of them have lost money because they went in too high. My view has always been the same on Bitcoin, Jan, that it could be a spectacular investment, and it could go to $1 million, for example. But it could also go to zero because governments and central banks decide that if Bitcoin became too powerful and worth too much money, they're not going to allow nobody to control their monetary system than themselves. So therefore, they could ban Bitcoin or other digital currencies also. So therefore, for me, this is kind of a binary risk. It's either $1 million or nothing. And that's not a good risk. So that is a risk only for speculation, in my view, not for wealth preservation. Gold and electronic entries onto a computer or onto a memory card, if you want, or a USB stick, cannot be seen, in my view, as wealth preservation. And therefore, I wouldn't recommend it for wealth preservation, but it could be interesting for speculation.
But as we always say,
See, and that's what I say about Bitcoin. We don't know why it goes up and down. So to invest in it, why? But it's not gold, it's not money. And if you want to protect yourself, you be in gold because you don't know what the price is. And as Egon just said, if it got too high, if it got to 100,000 a coin, the government would shut it down. So you have very little upside. And then you got to know when to get out. And the chances of it going to zero are far greater than it going up to 1 million because what is it? Nobody knows. So you might as well go play poker or play craps. It's the exact same thing. Nobody knows what it is and there's no point in it. So it's a very risky gamble. It's not an asset. So, I'd rather go play poker than play Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from 20 to 40. You didn't know why. And then it stopped and now it's on its way down and you don't know why. And it's just a Ponzi scheme. So again, you don't want to pull your money out of the bank and put it in Bitcoin and think that it's going to go up because you don't and nobody does. Egon doesn't. I don't. I don't know what is so attractive about it.
and for a long time say, Egon, never put all your eggs into one basket. We are not suggesting to somebody to put 100% of his or her wealth into physical precious metals. Of course not.
No, we're not. But the problem is when I, look at all the alternatives, it's very difficult what you do with your money. Should you diversify for the sake of it? Should you buy a bit of stocks, a bit of property, a bit of bonds that or that I believe are all going to collapse in relation to real money into gold and silver? So that's a dilemma. There are not in this overinflated or overvalued system now. There are not many assets that are actually good value. So precious metals are. So I think if ever this is a time, then people should have a higher percentage in precious metals than ever before. And of course, in the olden days, people had a lot of their money into precious metals. Also, even in more modern times, people who fled from countries, people who fled from African countries, Uganda, for example, and then the other countries. And, the only way they could flee from there was to have gold and jewelry or gold. They came out with that. They couldn't come out with anything else. And they could start again with that. I think this now time speak for a higher allocation to precious metals than at any time in history that I'm aware of in modern times, certainly. So, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But at the same time, you could say, as Rockefeller said, he was in oil, of course, put your eggs in one basket and look after the basket. So that's another way. I'm not going to tell people what percentage they should have, but I'm certainly, our investors have a very high percentage in gold and silver because they believe that is the best form of wealth preservation, and that there are not that many alternatives. But people should put whatever they feel is comfortable for them into silver and gold. But as I said, I would recommend a higher percentage than you normally would in present times.
We also get the question, or I get the question, regarding silver, for instance. It is at a lower price than 2011. It takes time and time. In the meantime, you could have invested elsewhere. We know all these arguments, but then I argue, look around you. We are now in a situation that is much different from 2011. There are so many dangers around us. It is now, as you said, really the time to have a high percentage in precious metals. And the question for other alternatives we answered already. Uranium, for instance, energy stocks, defense. There are still alternatives that can have a nice yield, but it's now the time, my opinion, I think you will agree, not to make fortunes, but to protect what you have. And many will not be able to achieve that.
No, and it's also, you got to bet, it's not just that you're, you can make a little bit of money or protect your money, but for many people, by just who can't afford to buy big amounts of gold or silver, we're not talking about just buying, wealthy investors is for everybody. So I often say, for example, if somebody in Venezuela, in 2000, roughly 23 years ago, had bought some gold, it was about the same price as because currency was about the same as the dollar then, so it was a similar price, and now it's in the billions. They would have protected their assets and their wealth. And I had somebody approaching me in Switzerland once, a restaurant owner, and he pointed at me and told my friends, listen to this man because he understands gold. He said he had followed me. And he said, my whole family lost all their money in Yugoslavia in the hyperinflation in the 90s. And I had some, and I could leave the country and start again here in Switzerland. I had some gold. So that's, even if you have a smaller amount, that will help you so much when times really get bad and the currencies are destroyed. So remember that, because that's what it's all about, protecting yourself, protecting your family from these risks that are more elevated now than, as I said before, that they ever been in history.
Final question, Egon. Amount was the keyword here. Why does your company only offer gold purchases from 100,000 euros?
There's actually one that he says that if you're like $50,000 or $25,000 in gold, there's another place in Switzerland that'll take it. He only does I think 400,000 or 500,000 worth of gold you can store in his vault. So he's looking at the big players, but people with 25 or 50,000. There's another company that does it. If you're curious, watch the end of the video. So basically what he's saying is Bitcoin is very risky. He's saying what I'm saying, I'm diversified bullshit. I'm 90, well, let's put it this way. I maybe 10 to 15% in this, but that's just like a hobby. I'm in my money, I'm like 95% gold and silver, a little bit of money in the safe to bridge until the money goes out and the gold and silver goes up. And then the rest are in the baseball cards and stuff, the Mahomes and the Mickey Mantles and stuff. So only diversify if you don't know. If you know what you're doing, there's no reason to diversify. When I played stocks, I was only in the gold. I was in Newmont Mining. I'd buy 1,000 shares on the dip at 1030, and then I'd get out. And then I did that every day. I didn't look for another stock. I didn't go into Coca-Cola. I didn't go into, a Mercedes or Toyota or GM or anything. I only was in Newmont Mining and only in at 1030 after the dip and only in until the end of the day. And that was it. And there's no reason, if you know what you're doing, there's no reason to diversify about stock. If you're trying to leave comments, I can't see them. So I apologize. I don't know if it's nobody's commenting, which is unusual, or it's just something, instead of losing my volume, I've lost my chat thing. I don't see my chat box at the bottom there. But can you chat if you can? So again, this is a very good Egon this morning. I highly recommend it. The whole thing was very good. This is brand new. This came out 9 hours ago. The title's in German, but it's very good. And each piece, he recommends taking your gold, putting it into Switzerland. He says, you got to be careful if you're in the EU or US and you had gold. He doesn't think they'll compensate it. He thinks they'll just tax it. He says it's easier for them to tax it than, because he said nobody who's going to, I'm not going to drive to the IRS and say, here's my gold. That'll never happen. So there's no point in them trying to compensate it. So somebody asked him, can they compensate? He said, no. He doubted it. It would be more or less, they'll tax it. Just how bad the governments are with money. Every government money goes to zero. You need gold to think of it as an anchor, right? So gold's the anchor, which holds the dollar in place. And if you don't have gold or silver anchoring the dollar just floats up like a balloon and keeps going until it pops. And that's what we're at. We're almost, he's saying we're almost done. He says there's very little time left. And again, he thought gold was 10,000 and silver was 666. I think he said that was like 10 years ago. So that's why he doesn't make predictions, because he doesn't understand the COMEX derivatives pushing the price down. If you would have let the free market happen, I think it's 25,000. And again, and that's conservative, but if the Montana rookie card's 125,000, I got a feeling gold's probably be close to that. So that's where we're at with that. I apologize if you're trying to leave a comment. I can't see it. I'm not sure why. I didn't do any. I just go in and I put the titles in and say boom, 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 and go live. And I don't really adjust the settings. My mic is working today, but I don't really do much with it. Anyway, so good Egon video. Again, Bitcoin is, do not take your money out of the bank, put it into Bitcoin to preserve the wealth like you do with gold and silver. Gold and silver, we know the dollar's going out. We're in gold and silver because you got 200 grand. You still got 200 grand. You just moved it from paper to gold and silver. You can't lose. It's very liquid, and it's going to go through the roof, and that's all going to happen very soon. That's what he talks about. But it was it's a question, and it gives you a 3 or 4 minute answer. Next question. Unlike the Austrian guys with Egon, the one I showed you yesterday, they ask him a question and he goes off on a tangent for 20 minutes. And this is much better. It's boom, boom, boom. But this was today or yesterday, I think. And you can't leave a comment. They're turned off. But yeah, we're on the same page, me and Egon, as far as what's happening. The dollar's being killed. The governments are corrupt. The war. So he says you can diversify by buying like defense stocks because of the wars. And I don't know why there's wars. I don't like I guess it's just the defense companies trying to make money. So they have a war, and then you got to buy tanks and planes and bazookas and bullets and rockets and missiles. So you got to buy all that. That generates demand, I guess. It's a sick way if that's what if that's why there's a war going on. Anyway, so we went through, see, and then I look at this one on the bottom. Silver is the most misunderstood metal. It's not misunderstood. It's money. It's also industrial, goes into the solar panels and the electric car batteries. We get that. But by reading that, these guys don't get, it's controlled by the derivative market of COMEX. That's what they don't get. So because they don't get it, they talk about it, and and that's why I call them like they don't understand what's going on. And it's amazing how many people don't understand the COMEX driving the price down, inflating the paper of the derivatives, which makes it look like there's more stock. Also, what Egon talked about was, is there gold in Fort Knox? He said no. He said if there is any, it's already leased out and it'll never come back. I think I played that part for you. So the central banks, they're all buying gold for safety. They all understand what's going on. They all understand the dollar's crap, and it's all going away. And they all, so that's why they're buying gold. It's all for protection. So keep that in mind. My Christmas present to myself is going to be, I'll go buy some more. I'll probably get another 20 ouncer of silver. Again, I'm careful with my money right now, so I'm a little bit, to buy more gold, but I will. But at this point, I think I'll buy a 20 ouncer of silver for Christmas. But I'll get on Jenna for not getting me a Christmas gift. I'll say something like, well, you've got perfume that I bought for you, but I got nothing from you. And I'll joke, but I won't joke. I'll be stoic. But anyway, so football today. The Rams in New Orleans is tonight, and Syracuse, South Florida is tonight. Syracuse is third string quarterback. Somehow they're favored by 3.5. And then the Rams, New Orleans, it's a playoff game. It should be a pretty even game. Everybody's playing for New Orleans. Carr, Olave, the whole gang. So it's a tough one. It's probably a dog, and you can probably go over or under. I got 27-20 Rams, over under 45.5. So you can tease it either way you want. New Orleans with a pretty good defense. Carr against Stafford. A free pick is the Dallas over is free. Make sure that Mozart and Tyreek Hill are playing. They're both questionable. I'm sure they'll both play. Going through the list, Buffalo in a must-win. 2 games back in Miami. Seattle in a must-win. The Rams and New Orleans in a must-win. Indy and Atlanta are in a must-win. Detroit, Minnesota. Really must-win for Minnesota more than Detroit. But, because going to clinch the division and go after the 1 seed is nice, but Minnesota's fighting for their lives at home. I think Minnesota wins the game 27-24. Green Bay in a must-win. Cleveland, Houston in a must-win. Both Flacco and Stroud are questionable. Jacksonville, Tampa's in a must-win. Lawrence is questionable. If he's out, then we'll probably go under. If he plays, then we can either take Jacksonville or the over. Dallas, Miami. It's a must-win for both, but I think it's a much more must-win for Dallas. They're trying to win their division. Miami's got a 2-game lead on Buffalo, probably a 1-game lead after they get done with San Diego, Buffalo. But it's different. Dallas must win. Miami does not have to. Back is not as much against the wall as it is for Dallas because they're still tied with Philly. They're not up on Philly. New England, Denver. Look for Denver to bounce back. They got beat, but they're at home against New England, who's terrible. Oakland, KC. KC, of course, needs to win. The Giants, Philly. Look for Philly to crush them. I got 45-7 Philly. Okay, they've lost 3 in a row, but see, here's the problem. They lose 3 in a row, and people look at them, and they look at the last game, and they lost to Seattle, and they go, oh, they stink. Oh, their defense is terrible. Well, this is Seattle. They got Metcalf and Locke, and Locke was the quarterback, and they got Kenneth Walker. They got a pretty good, set of receivers. And they really held them to 20 points? What was the score? 20-17. You held Seattle to 20 is not really a bad defense because Seattle, what are they now? They're they score in the mid-20s, so they got their average. So really, it wasn't the defense of Philly. It was really Philly's offense that didn't show up. And here we get the Giants, a 24 defense, and Philly's at home. They've lost 3 in a row. So you've got to you can't look at last week and say Philly sucks. Okay, they lost to the Niners. Who doesn't? They lost to Dallas. Okay. Now they lost at Seattle on a Monday night. Now they're home to a Z team. And that's the whole reason we rank them. So now all of a sudden Philly at home to a Z team like the Giants, who Dallas killed twice, and look for them to score early and often. And this was a little bit sick, but look for them to be pissed off after losing 3 in a row. Now, this is a game they should blow out against the Z team. If they don't, then we really got problems. But at this point, I don't think they have the problems. The whole team's healthy as far as the starting receivers and running back and quarterback. So I look for a big win there. And then the game of the week, Baltimore-Frisco. I got Frisco 31-24. The Rams put up 31 on Baltimore, and I think the Niners will definitely do that. I think it's, the over-under 46, and the spread's 5.5. You can play it as you will. Frisco is very dominant at home is all I can say. I am not interested in Baltimore in 11.5. I'm more either taking the Niners or because Lamar's going to have a problem in this game. He's not going to be Lamar. This is the type of team that gives him problems. This team, maybe a Buffalo, a Dallas, teams with the really strong defenses, Lamar's in big trouble with. That'd be Dallas with the 19. Kansas City's going to have a problem with. Frisco. Those are your biggest teams. Buffalo. Those teams will have a problem because they'll pressure him and he can't handle the pressure. That's why I don't understand. Just pressure the guy and they don't pressure him. Quarterbacking, again, we'll go down the list. Carr and Stafford tonight. Browning against Rudolph, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Allen against Stick, Buffalo, San Diego. Minshew against Heineken, Indy and Atlanta. Smith against Levis, maybe. Levis is questionable. Tannehill, I think, is ready to go. Right now, Geno Smith is ready to go for Seattle. Goff against Mullins, Detroit, Minnesota. Howell against Zach Wilson, who is questionable for the JETSs. Love against Young, Green Bay, Carolina. Flacco against Stroud are both questionable, both injured in the Cleveland-Houston game. Keenan's fine. He's better than Stroud. In Cleveland, I don't know if Thompson Robinson can go if Flacco's hurt. Flacco's got a calf, and I know sometimes you go, oh, why isn't the guy playing for a calf? But sometimes look at Joe Burrow when he hurt the calf. He was out he should have been out a month. He was limping around. Let's see. Lawrence against Mayfield, Jacksonville, Tampa. Lawrence has a concussion, and now his ankle is apparently bothering him. So look for that. Keep your eye on Lawrence. Murray against Fields, Arizona, Chicago. Dallas, Miami. Prescott against Tagliabue. That's your overplay. New England, Denver, Zappe against Russell Wilson. Oakland and KC, O'Connell against Mahomes. Danny DeVito against Hurts. Giants and Philly. And Lamar against Purdy in the game of the week, Baltimore and Frisco. I don't know. I've never seen where they're playing on Christmas Day and they're put 3 games up. I mean, this is insane. So you've got Thursday game. You've got 2 Saturday games. You've got the Sunday games. You got the Sunday night game. And then you've got 3 on Monday. Oh, my God. This is insane. So get ready. We've got a whole slew of college games going on Saturday. I'll just recap that. Tonight, South Florida, Syracuse. Syracuse is playing their third-string quarterback. Tomorrow, Georgia Tech, UCF. Both quarterbacks are playing. Go figure that out. Saturday, you've got Troy and Duke. You've got Duke, backup quarterback, questionable. Troy's playing their quarterback. Arkansas State, Northern Illinois. Yeah, their quarterbacks are playing. Who cares? James Madison against the Air Force. The strangest thing is 5 or 6 James Madison players are on the transfer portal, and they're all playing. It's their first bowl game because they came from Division II, and they're trying to show it against my Air Force. My quarterback at Air Force, I don't know. He's still questionable. Georgia State, Utah State. Utah State's playing their third-string quarterback. South Alabama, Eastern, new quarterback for Eastern. South Alabama's quarterback's questionable, their starter. Utah, Northwestern. Utah's on a new quarterback, their third stringer. Northwestern's playing their starter, but he's so bad it doesn't matter. And Coastal Carolina, San Jose State. San Jose State, Cordero is apparently playing. He's their star quarterback. Coastal Carolina is on their third string quarterback. So the problem is it as simple as we think? Is the third string quarterback that bad and will win? Or, oh, wait a minute, Van Dyke and Rising were third string quarterbacks. So not as easy as you think. So a complex bowl system until we get down to the nitty gritty, the Georgia, the LSU, the Oregon, and then the Alabama, your free pick against Michigan and Washington. Texas is running backs out. their best running back. Washington will give them a game. They beat Oregon twice. You must not forget that. And they got a great coach, Penix. I can't believe when they're saying Penix is maybe not a first rounder. I'm like, are you insane? Bo Nix, Penix are not, and Drake May's better than North Carolina quarterback. Who the hell did they beat? I don't understand these GMs at all. It makes no sense. At least they got Caleb number one, but I'm not sure Caleb's number one. I'm not sure he's better than Penix or Bo Nix or Hartman. So that's where we're at. Let's see where gold's at today. Fake gold. So the paper gold price today, don't confuse it with the physical price. The paper gold price is at 5 o'clock, 2046, getting near 2050. And what it shows you is COMEX can only do so much. And then the market is still, even though it's paper and even though they do derivatives, it's getting to the point. I was listening to Mark McGuire, and he had some good points, but we'll get into him maybe tomorrow. And he was just saying how it's just about, it's just about they can't hold it. It's going to fly. And so keep that in mind. Part of the thing is, what you must understand is people realize that paper fiat currency is all worthless. The banks are realizing it. That's why the central banks are buying gold and the bullion banks are buying gold. And once they've switched COMEX, where you need gold to actually do your derivatives, they can't really fight it down anymore. And as the banks buy, bars, I buy an ounce or two of gold or a half ounce or 10 ounces of silver, not tons. I don't have that kind of money. So I can't buy a ton of gold. That'd be 32,000 ounces. It's funny when you try that on a calculator, I don't even think it calculates out 32,000 ounces. I think you got to do like 32 times the 2,100 and then times that by, 32,000. So 32, maybe you do 3,200 times 10 or something. You get the number times it by 10. Usually it craps out the calculator. But keep that in mind. It's about to go through the roof probably after January 1st. And the way it'll just be, you go to sleep Friday night and then you wake up Monday and all of a sudden gold's $10,000 an ounce. And buy it now while you can afford it. And I mean, that's really it. You don't want to be in Bitcoin for safety. It can be an investment, but I'd rather play craps or blackjack or poker than Bitcoin because we don't know why Bitcoin goes up or down. It's very risky investment, and there's better investments like a Mahomes card or a Mantle card that I'd rather do than Bitcoin. At least this I understand. I understand Mahomes and I understand 50. And 50 is a lot more limited than 21 million, which maybe is 42 million. Who knows how it develops. And if it gets too high in price, the government will kill it. So that's what you got with Bitcoin. Anyway, so keep all that in mind. Watch Egon's, very good. Even Mark McGuire's, after I watched it today, it's very good. I watched it at the gym while I'm on the bike. That's about it. So enjoy Christmas. Christmas is Monday. I can't believe it. It's like I'm looking December 21st and, like yesterday, I got my breaks done. I'm not thinking I wish him a Merry Christmas. I think it's 2-3 weeks away. It's like Thanksgiving. It was like we're doing the class on a Friday or Saturday. And then I think it was a Saturday. And I said, we're talking Michigan, Ohio State. And I go, oh, well, that's Thanksgiving weekend. That's 3 weeks away. And it was like the next week. And no, I can't believe Christmas is, I think when you are home and not at a work environment in an office, you lose track of things because there'd be a holiday party Christmas is coming. You don't have a clue. My holiday party, I ate at Boneyard the other day. That was my holiday party. But it's funny how they know me there, and they know I'm like the professor and the gold guy. Very funny. Anyway, watch your Stoic, watch your Egons and Mark McGuire's. I would buy silver, and if you can't afford the gold, buy the silver for Christmas. Buy yourself 10, 20 ounces of silver for Christmas presents. Everybody I've ever given silver or gold to was very excited, knew it was a good thing to have, even if they didn't know anything about it. And I would say the same thing. Hold it. The price is going to go way up. Don't sell it now and just hold on to it. But they were all very, very excited to get it. I saw the gal at the pool yesterday who I gave the 10 ounces to, and she stopped by to talk to me, get the freeze-dried food, and I've got to see about that. But I got a bunch of meat and veggies frozen in the freezer, so I'd rather eat that. I hope the oven works and the fridge works so I can cook and store it in the fridge. What else? Otherwise, just gold's going, right? If you don't wait on it, you can't wait on it, because if you miss it, if it's 10,000 an ounce, you're going to buy it. And if you can, then buy 5 ounces now instead of 1 ounce later. What else is there? I think that's about it. I've been reading my economics to bring some more stuff to the table. Don't get fooled by the government. Inflation is 20%, not 2%. Don't even think about it. You would think Coke and Pepsi would be on sale this week for Christmas. They were $2.99 at the store. It's like, really? People are bitching about Kroger being very expensive. I go to Meijer's, which is like a Costco, and I still get, I got a lot of shit today, and it was like $50, but I get a lot of veggies. And my dark chocolate, I got a cantaloupe on sale, some bananas, my pita bread. That's what it is. And when I want meat, I get it out of the freezer. And then I got to decide what to make for Christmas. I think a roast, but I'll buy some of the ribs just to eat with them. That's it. If I'm home for New Year's, I'll go to MGM and play poker and get it. I used to go for the buffet, and they don't have it anymore. It's insane. So I don't know what to, so Christmas dinner or New Year's dinner will be different, but we'll see. I might be in Turkey meeting Daria if she gets her passport, which we're still waiting on Russia government she did it in November, and it's still not there yet. So we're excited to meet, but not ready to. I can't book anything, and hopefully she gets the passport. We will see, and I'm waiting to hear from that. So I don't know if I'm going to be home or in Turkey for New Year's. I could go to Vegas. If it falls through with her, I could spend a few days in Vegas. That's always a nice thing to do. And outside of that, just looking at our football. So again, free pick, Alabama, free pick. Take the Dallas-Miami game over 50, so over 44 in Teaser World. That's your free pick. I could throw you another college. Why don't I throw you this weekend's college? Let's go with San Jose State. I'll give you that as a free one. That's 9.5. You lay 3.5 with Corbero and Coastal Carolina and the third string quarterback. So that's what I'm looking for. I got my starter, Corbero, against their third stringer at Coastal Carolina, not McCall. If it was McCall, I'd go over. The over-under is just 48. So let me give you that. Go San Jose State until you get to Alabama. But I like Dallas-Miami. I think Miami with a weak defense, really it's not. It's a 21 in total, but when they play the good teams, it's like a 31. So I look for Dallas. I got 30-24 Dallas. It could be much higher because Dallas gets rolling. And we got to see Tyreek Hill play. Hopefully he plays. But I still, just wait and maybe wait a day for Tyreek Hill. I guess if he doesn't play, then play Dallas, in the 7.5. So if Hill plays, go over. If he doesn't play, take Dallas. And that's about it. So a lot of, Oakland, KC, look, Philly's going to kill them. Look for a big game from them. The Niner Baltimore game, very exciting game. Look for the Niners there, and then we got the injuries to look into. So anyway, keep in mind the teams with the back against the wall will give you the best effort. Will they win is another story. So Cleveland, Houston back against the wall, but will Houston, win, or Cleveland, or Seattle, Tennessee back against the wall for Seattle. The Rams, New Orleans both have back against the wall. So Buffalo, San Diego is one where Buffalo's got the back against the wall. San Diego's out of it. So that's kind of what you're looking for, because when they both have like tonight, LA, New Orleans, they both have their back against the wall. It'll be a good game. It should be a close game. When you got Buffalo, they should kill. When you got Philly, the Giants, Philly has to win. They're trying to win the division. They've lost 3 in a row. This is maximum effort. This is exactly what you look for. So where most people are like, oh, Philly stinks, and they lost 3 in a row, are looking at they missed the whole point. It's, they lost 3 in a row. They're going to play their best game against the shit Giant team. They're not playing the Niners. They're not playing Buffalo tonight. They're playing, or this week, they're playing the Giants. But people only remember the last game, right? Oh, I'm not going to play Denver. They got killed by Detroit. Well, this game's at home against New England. Or look at Detroit. I'm going to play them. Look what they did to Denver. Well, this game's not in Detroit. It's not against Denver. They're at Minnesota. Who needs to win? So this is why it's like craps and it's like poker. Every hand's different. Even though craps, I kind of look for a streak on. Like if it's hitting 6s and 8s, I kind of think it's going to keep hitting 6s and 8s. But in poker, every hand's, I got pocket aces. I might have 2-7 the next hand. So it's very independent. And that's what this is very independent. Philly lost 3 in a row. I'm not going to bet against them because, they lost 3 in a row. They're going to lose 4 in a row. I'm going to say, no. They need the game against the Z team. They're going to kill them. So that's how you've got to step back and look at these games and not what happened last week. Or, okay, Dallas lost to Buffalo. I expect them to play much better against Miami, but they still need the game to win the division against Philly. They need the game. So they're going to be there. They should play a lot better because Miami doesn't have Buffalo's defense. So that's what you're looking at. That's why you got to know each team, and you've got to make your picks based on what you know or what I help you with, not what somebody on BetMGM says. Or any of that, or this, the road dog is 18-6 on this and this and this on a Sunday at 2:00. I mean, that's just bullshit. Who knows? You've got to know the team. So I think that's it. Is there anything else? Watch your gold. It's going to the moon very soon. Everybody realizes the dollar's no good. All the central banks are buying gold. They don't want to hold dollars. So the biggest thing I teach you is the market and demand, right? I can sell this as long as there's demand. As long as somebody wants to buy it, I can sell it. And then what do I tell you? The 20-year-old girl, the hot girl at the bar is demanded. People want her. When she's 60 and fat and ugly, nobody wants her. They all want the 20-year-old. The dollar is the 60-year-old fat and ugly at the bar that nobody wants. And that's what you must understand. And the central banks don't want it. Nobody really wants it. Even the U.S., I'm not sure, wants it. They keep printing and inflating. And now they're fucked because they have this huge debt that they got to pay on. Nobody's buying their debt. So when they do, they would normally sell the T-bills. This debt, it's an IOU, and then the other countries would buy it because they want safety in the U.S. dollar. That's the premier currency. That's the, that's it, right? It's the safe haven. Now they're realizing it's not the safe haven. And once they realize it, that's why the stock market's going to crash, because they have in safe haven, they're all the people in Europe and Asia are in Microsoft and Apple stock. But once they realize it's in dollars, they'll pull it. And that's why the market will crash. And that's why I'm 98% gold and silver and 2% in money. And then I have all these assets that I'm just holding on to. I got to get a lot of them graded before I move on them, but I'm in no hurry to do that. So that's what we need to know. Christmas is coming. Football is here. The bowl games are fucked. All these guys, I don't really get where it's coming from. That don't play in the bowl game. It was a big deal. It was an honor. Let's look at the All-Star game, right? It used to be a big deal. If you watch like a 1970 All-Star game, baseball, and it's Clemente and Mays and Hank Aaron against K-Line and Mickey Mantle, like a 63, All-Star game, and or like 60, 60, 68, and you'd have Pete Rose and you'd have Willie Stargell and Clemente and Mays and Aaron and Mantle, and all the stars were in it. Now they don't even care. They don't even go into the All-Star game. What the hell is going on? Don't get hurt. Well, no fucking play sports. Go work at the grocery store. Don't get hurt. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with the chat, why we're not getting any. I don't know. I put up a Q&A. I don't know why. Anyway, it's really weird. I don't normally do that. It's just you guys chat and that's it. Anyway, have a good day. Have a good Christmas. Get ready this weekend. A lot of football. Be careful on your bowl games until we get to Alabama. We just don't know we assume who's playing. We don't know. Enjoy tonight. That's all I can say. Be careful with your eating and drinking for the holidays. Remember, just fast. I'm doing a fast day today. Just fast, and you keep your body clean that way. Okay, I guess that's about it. www.teaserking.com. So far, I've got 2 locks going this weekend. One's a pro. And I put in a few pro picks this morning. I have a college. I have tonight's game with tomorrow going, and then it'll be Saturday. So keep that in mind. That's about it. Buy your gold. Get out of the stock market. Everything's about to collapse. Just understand that. Just be smart. Protect yourself. You protect yourself with the gold and silver. That's what you're doing. The Titanic's hit. It hit the iceberg. So what are you doing? You're getting in the lifeboat to protect yourself from the boat sinking. Well, the dollar's sinking, so you're protecting yourself. You don't want to lose $200,000. So you put it in the gold and silver, and if you need it, you just sell it back. It's a very simple thing. There's no risk. Your biggest risk is keeping your money in dollars. So just keep that in mind. All right, I think that's about it. www.teaserking.com. I don't know what happened with the chat. Normally we get some chat, so I don't know what it is, but I'll look into it if I can, if it helps me. All right. Have a nice night. I will see you tomorrow, probably about the same time, about 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm going to stop at the coin store tomorrow, where today I had to go to the grocery store. So tomorrow I don't have to. I will go to buy my Christmas present of $20 silver. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day. www.teaserking.com.